Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Barnabas Health, NJM, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons PC, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, New Jersey's Credit Unions, PSC&G, TD Bank, Community Education Centers, the New Jersey Hospital Association, and by these public-spirited organizations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the issues that matter.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Hi, this is Steve Adubato coming to you from the State House. This is the beautiful Senate chamber, and we're here with the guy who leads this operation, the Senate President Steve Sweeney. Good to see you, Mr. President.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You were saying right before you got on the air something really interesting. Say what you said to me about who is running this House, the Senate, and the other House, the Assembly Chamber.
You have an iron worker and a plumber leading the legislature. And that's what makes this country so great, Steve.
Vinnie Prieto.
Who's the speaker? He's a plumber.
Just talked to him in this chair about an hour or so ago. Go ahead.
And I'm a union iron worker. And, that's what makes this country great. People can excel and, their leadership skills will take them where they may. And you're not stigmatized by being an iron worker. There are abilities that people have beyond the trade that they, or the job that they take up. So I was teasing Vinny about the other day. I said, think about it. The New Jersey legislature is being run by two building trades guys, an iron worker and a plumber.
Your background is fascinating as an iron worker, but also how you got into public service. You've been pretty tough sometimes in public, in the back and forth. Do you think because you are I'm not even going to say you've been an iron worker, you are an iron worker.
Absolutely.
Do you think sometimes that background plays into how you lead and govern and interact with people?
Of course.
How so?
Well, I'm who I am. I grew up as an iron worker. And
what does that actually mean? Because you can see from these hands.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done much manual labor. Go ahead.
Well, Steve, it's, you learn how to work really hard, and you don't take things for granted. When it's bad weather, I don't get paid if I don't work. If I'm sick, I don't get paid if I don't work. I'm one of the few guys probably up here that collected unemployment. So I know what it feels like, not to be able to really provide the way you want to for your family. So all those things mold you, and it makes you pretty tough. Not everyone can do what an iron worker does. When you saw the Freedom Tower going up, they were iron workers putting that steel up.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's a great sense of pride for me, because they're my guys, and putting guys and gals, because we have women in the iron workers also. And the fact that I've worked on bridges and buildings, and it gives you a sense of value. Like, everyone's job is important, and everyone's job has value. Like, doctors can't operate unless you build a hospital. That's what I'm getting to. So for me, it's humbling, but you're tough because it's not an easy world to grow up in. So, but look, my motivation getting in politics was my daughter.
Yeah, let's talk about your daughter, because that's not the tough side of you. It's a totally different side of you. Talk about your daughter.
Oh, she was born 2 pounds. 75 days in the neonatal unit, halfway through we find out she had Down syndrome. At 33, I actually grew up, and I admit that, I really became a man at the age of 33, because I had to. And I'm embarrassed to say that, because I had a son that was 4 years, older than my daughter. But it's sobering when you realize the challenges that you have. And for me, I just wanted to fight for people like Lauren, who really needed a voice. You would go out in restaurants and people would stare and you say, she's beautiful, isn't she? And I didn't mean that. I said, I know you didn't, but realize she understands things too. That's why we fought to ban the word, not fought because it was a pretty easy bill to ban. It was to ban the word retarded. Because Lauren knows the difference. And Lauren knows she's different, but retarded's a pretty hard word. And so it molds you, Steve. That's
How do you think it's changed you?
The compassion came out more. You know, I had a focus and a purpose on what I wanted to do with my life. You know how when they say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like at 33, I grew up, and the way it changed me was it gave me I found out what my purpose in life was.
You weren't in government at the time.
No, it motivated me to run for office. And
Was it freeholder?
I ran for freeholder, and after the very first year in office, they made me the director. And you know, every different parts of the state, they have different structures. But the first thing I did was start building schools for special needs kids.
That was the first thing you did?
Very first thing I did. And I told everybody I was going to do it when I ran. And my county was compassionate and caring enough that they supported it. But it was good government too, because it was more cost effective doing it the way we did it. And you know, everyone talks about inclusion. Well, that doesn't work for everyone. My daughter went to a regular school, and to the 8th grade, she never had one little girl call her up to go play dolls, to go to a party, to interact with. She had no life outside of her family. She's going to the schools that we created in Gloucester County. She's got an iPad, an iPhone. She goes to dances. Unfortunately, she's got a boyfriend, which really has me upset.
That bothers you, right?
Oh,
how old is she now?
She's going to be 21 in February, and she told me I got to take her to the bar and buy her a first drink. Now, Steve, she likes boys and she wants to go to the bar. It's scaring me.
How are you dealing with this?
It's a struggle.
Is it harder than some of the stuff that goes down here?
Very much so. Very much so. You know, as a father with a daughter, as any father that has a daughter understands, you know, that's your princess.
Yeah.
And no man should ever.
This is not right.
It's absolutely wrong. But then to tell me, we're going to the bar.
Right.
You're going to buy me a drink, and I'm going to sit and talk to people, because she just loves people.
Wow.
And she connects with people, Steve. In her love, I tell people we should live in her world, because in her world, there's nothing but love and trust. It's unfortunate she lives in our world, which is a hard world. That's why you got to watch for them.
Steve, you got me thinking. In Lauren's world, there's a lot of trust and love, and she thinks the best of people.
Always.
And then you come down here. So make that transition. Go ahead.
Well, it's look. There's
a lot of love and trust, and people think the best of each other. Is that how you describe the State House?
This is a tough place, Steve.
What's the toughest part about it?
Toughest part about it is when you have to tell somebody no and they don't want to hear it. And I'm a big believer in, and I think it actually helped me get to where I'm at the Senate presidency as quickly as I did, because I give you a yes or a no. And if it was a yes, it stayed a yes, and if it was a no, it was a no. Because I don't want to lead people on. I want people, you know, when you have people come to you with ideas and you don't think they're really good for the state, why don't you just tell them no? You know, but no one likes to say no. It's like when we did the reorganization of higher education, walking in to the Board of Governors meeting in Rutgers, Camden.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people there, and they did not want to hear from me. And I walk in, I say, I want to congratulate the governor for having the courage and the vision to take this on.
And they did not want a reorganization because they wanted Rutgers to stay just the way it was. No change.
No change, nowhere, anywhere. But we had to change. All around the country, they're trying to improve higher education by reorganizing it in all the different states. So I go in there, people are yelling and hollering at me, and I said, look, this has to be done. And it was tried, and I did it for a reason. I wanted all the people involved to understand that I wasn't going to back away, and I wasn't going to walk away because people are going to yell at you. You know, the minority are normally the ones that come out and holler and scream. The majority actually expects you to do your job they elected you to. You know, Steve, I had it with the road project one time where I lived. 500 people, TV cameras, everyone's saying, we're not going to vote for you if you do this. And I said, I have to do this. I said, there's 500 people here, but I represent 300,000. The other people aren't here because they're expecting me to do my job.
You weren't afraid to do it?
No, well, and I'm never afraid to do it. I'm never afraid to walk in and take a tough issue on pension benefit reform.
Yeah, you stood with the governor. Actually, people say you stood with the governor, but the fact is you initiated this discussion earlier on and said, what did you say we needed to do? And then what did you ultimately agree to do with the governor and stand shoulder to shoulder with him?
Well, you know, when John Corzine was the governor, I'm a chairman of a pension fund. I understand pensions. Our pension system was going broke. And you made a promise, we've made a promise to 800,000 people that they're going to have
public workers.
Yeah, and we owe it to them to make sure that pension's there. And I kept telling people, pensions can go bankrupt. Everyone's telling me, no, look at Detroit. They can go bankrupt. I understand pensions and I care about them. Because you don't have a reset button to start over again, Steve. I wish we could. Right. I wish we all could go back to 21 and start new, but we don't get that opportunity. So my conversation basically was an honest conversation that we had to reform pensions and that the health care costs were just strangling our communities and our taxpayers.
Your Democratic colleagues, not a lot of them wanted to jump on board.
No, I'm a labor leader. You know,
and some of your labor friends were like, Steve, what are you doing?
They put the rats up against me.
They did?
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the words, that's about the worst, right?
That's the biggest insult you can have.
Describe for folks who don't know what it means when they put the rat out.
Well, when they put a rat out, it means you're a non-union. You know, you're scab.
They're saying that to you.
To me, who has earned every dollar he has come from a union income. And for me, Steve, like I said, it bothered me, but I was going to have that discussion. I wish John Corzine had taken that cause up then, because then the fix would have been smaller.
Did he back away because he didn't want to deal with the unions?
Backed away because he didn't want to get in a fight.
Okay.
And you know,
that's not a great quality in government, no?
No, you have to fight for what you believe in. For me, you know, it's like telling people what they want to hear all the time or agreeing with people all the time isn't being real. Like me and you can have many differences, but doesn't mean we don't like each other. It's just we don't agree on certain issues. But you have to have an honest discussion in order to get things done.
Did you see in that case an opportunity with the governor to be with him on this because he wasn't afraid either?
I saw
no matter whose idea was it first?
Well, what I saw was a governor that recognized the same things that I saw and really didn't care about the political outcome.
Did you care that some of your Democratic friends were saying, what are you doing helping the governor on this?
But it was my initiative that it wasn't the governor's. The governor was willing to go along and work. He saw the same thing I saw.
Did you care about the credit? Who got it?
No, I could care less. Steve, at the end of the day, I really don't care who gets credit. It's getting things done. You know, minimum wage, whatever, I don't care. I just want to see things get done here. At the end of the day, if I know I've done something that's helped improve people's lives, that's all that matters. I don't have to have people pat me on the back saying, wow, you did minimum wage or you did pay family leave. I know I did it.
The ego part, not a big part of this for you?
Nah, look, when I first came to this house, everyone would come up to you, Senator. I said, no, my name's Steve. Because when I leave here, I'm Steve. And I'm going to be Steve. And I'm not going to lose my identity to this place. You know, who I was when I came in is the person I'm going to leave with. And at the end of the day, when I'm done my public service, I'm always going to be an advocate for the disabled because they're the things that, really energize me. I get passionate about, and I think you really can help people with.
Well, even though you asked to be called Steve, I'm going to ask the Senate President to stay right there because we'll continue our conversation right here in the beautiful, historic Senate chamber right here in the State House. I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Hi, Steve Adubato here in the Senate chamber right here in the State House. We're here with the Senate President Steve Sweeney. Let me ask you something. We talked off the record, so I won't bring that out. But I got to ask you, egos down here. We were talking about certain people, we won't name them. How much of a problem of getting things done is a product of people's outside and very outblown egos, overblown egos?
With some, and I won't say who.
We don't need to say who.
It is a problem because it's the ego matters more than the product. And for me, honestly, as long as we get things done, You know, I'll praise you if you want, if that makes you feel better, as long as we get things done. That's what this is about, Steve. New Jersey has more problems than we have time to talk about. So focusing on getting things done and crossing the goal line, that's all that matters. And realize you have 40 people in this chamber, 80 in the other chamber, and they're all very bright people. And they worked very hard to get here. You know, and obviously you want to, someone that wants to be in front of the camera or wants to be out in front of people, they have pretty strong egos to start with.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about the governor before, and we're doing this program, as we said, on the 21st of January. Some fascinating things going on, not just in New Jersey, but across the country, looking at what's happening here in New Jersey. But the business of state government continues. You continue to work with the governor and his administration on a range of issues. But after the state of the state, you were very critical about what the governor said regarding the need to look at the pension situation. You were very critical, Mr. President. What were you so angry about? Because you work side by side, shoulder to shoulder on pension reform.
Well, that's the point. We worked side by side, and we made a deal. And the deal was we were going to ask workers to pay more.
Public workers.
Public workers to pay more, and they have, and that we would make our commitment and make our payment, Steve.
The state of New Jersey.
The state of New Jersey. And see, where I come from, if I give you my word, no matter what, if I made a bad deal, good deal, no matter what, I keep it. And we made a promise to these workers. Now, this is a 7-year process. Now, the governor knew, as I did, that these pension payments were going to make it very difficult to do other things.
Because they're taking bigger and bigger chunks out of a $30-some-odd billion state budget.
Sure. Our economy's grown, realize, about $600 million a year. That's where the $1.8 billion has come from. We knew this.
$1.8 billion in pension contribution.
Payment. But we knew this when we did the bill. We knew it was going to be a problem. Now, he could alleviate some of these problems. Look, I love what he talked about with longer school day.
Real quick, we'll come back to pension. You're okay with the longer school day?
I'm good with the longer school day.
And school year?
Absolutely.
Really?
You got to pay for it, though. And how you pay for it? Doing something he's resisted for the last 4 years. The millionaire's tax.
Wait.
That can bring $660 million.
Tax millionaires.
Put them back.
Forget about cutting taxes. You're talking about raising taxes.
Putting it back where it was when Corzine was governor. The millionaires, the tax rate expired when Chris Christie came in on millionaires. There was an increased tax rate on millionaires. What I'm calling for is those are ideal programs to do. We're not funding the school funding formula now. There's the ability to raise about $660 million from millionaires, and honestly, them paying their fair share. The middle class are paying a heavier burden than the wealthy in this state. So for me, it's very simple. Those are very worthwhile programs. You can't go back on your commitment that you just made a few years ago saying, I want to do all these things.
Well, that's the governor. Governor's saying, look, we want to do roads, we want to do bridges, we want to do education. It's going to be harder to do that and make the pension contribution, which is getting bigger this year.
Yep.
It's more than $2 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
That's not worth talking about, Senator?
No, that's off the table. It's going to be $6 billion at the end of 7 years. It's going to be $6 billion. But we knew that.
Was it a bad deal?
It was a great deal. It was a great deal.
Even though it's going to take a bigger and bigger chunk out of the state budget, which means fewer and fewer initiatives that you're going to want to do?
Listen, Steve, sometimes it's called being disciplined. You know, a lot of people willing to spend money, you know, on a host of things, money that they don't have. So you rob Peter to pay Paul.
We don't have it?
We don't have it. But we have an obligation to the 800,000 people that are collecting or are going to collect a pension. That was a promise made that has to be kept. Now, we spread it over 7 years because there was no way we could make the payment the way we did. So again, for me, it's fiscal discipline. And what you have to do, you have to control your spending. As much as you'd like to do a lot of different programs, you have to control the need to spend, the will to spend, until your revenues catch your expenditures. We haven't done that yet. And the governor knew, absolutely knew, as I did when we made this deal on benefit reform to save the pension, that we had to make the pension payment, and we're making it. And I'm not backing off of that. That was a commitment that we made.
What do you say, Mr. President, to those who are talking about municipal mergers, shared services? You were another one. You really initiated a lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say?
Oh,
would you say this? That listen, We have 556 municipalities. I lost count. There might be another one in the last couple of weeks. And there are 611 school districts, et cetera, et cetera. That the home rule situation in New Jersey is so out of control that we need to really just tell the folks in the state of New Jersey that one of the biggest reasons why your property tax is so high is because everyone wants to have their own, and we're not going to ask you anymore. We're going to force you, if you have 3,000 people in your town with the other town of 2,000, we're going to force you to be together. Have we come to, it's a long-winded question, I know, Senator, have we gotten to the point where we're going to say, we're not going to give you a choice anymore, you're going to be a town of 5,000?
Well, I have to tell you, that's a discussion that we're getting real close to, Steve. You know, I've been pushing for shared services.
Because everyone wants lower property taxes.
That's the point, but they like to keep what they have. You know, it's like, it's good for them, not for us. I was just in Princeton yesterday.
The one Princeton?
The one Princeton.
Wasn't it two?
It was two. And talked to the guy that was on the study commission. He's the council president since the 70s. We're merging him 40
Was it
years.
Princeton Township and Princeton Borough?
Yep.
Now it's
Princeton.
It's just Princeton.
And the great part of it is, and this is the funny thing, they're paying less in taxes and they get better police presence. The streets are cleaner because they don't have all the administrative costs. Steve, what we have in New Jersey is insane. We have all this administrative weight up top when we could have more cops on the street. Like when you look at communities that are struggling, like Camden and other communities, when they lay people off, it's always the cops. It's
on the street.
It's cops on the street or in the schools. It's the kitchen help and the teachers. It's never the superintendents or assistant superintendents or the principals where all the real money is. We're top heavy in administration. In my county, my home county, Gloucester, no one's done more shared services than I have. And what I'm really proud of, Steve, my county, Gloucester County, where I live, is the only county in the state without a jail. No jail.
Well, where do you put the prisoners?
We had a juvenile detention center. We sought out other facilities that had empty beds. Net $2 million. Our savings, net. Our females, we moved them to other facilities with empty beds. Net $2 million. And this year, they closed the male population, over 300 prisoners. At Gloucester County was spending $28 million for a jail, to operate a jail. It's costing them $18 million amongst the other counties that they're sending the prisoners to. Net $10 million.
But Mr. President, given everything you just said, is it now not time to have a serious and sober discussion that says this? Look, part of the reason, not all, but part of the reason why our property taxes are so high is because each individual municipality with its very small population wants its own police department, fire department, a board of education, et cetera, and we can't afford it, and we are not going to ask you anymore. We're going to tell you, and if you don't, you're not getting state aid.
Well, that was my legislation.
Okay, but why are we not further along, given how serious the situation is?
It's a discussion I've been having with the Assembly.
What's stopping it?
The Assembly right now.
It's them?
I passed it a year and a half ago over here, and the Assembly wouldn't move it.
But if the masses are saying we want lower property taxes,
this is how you get them.
Go ahead.
This is a pathway to lower property taxes, but realize it's just not local governments. Okay. Counties, like I just talked about, counties.
That's part of the tax burden.
Yeah, it all is. It all adds up. Why not regional jails? Why not regional facilities? So not everyone has one. Steve, we did countywide storm management in my county. We're going to have a storm today. Instead of building 24, we have 24 towns in Gloucester County. Instead of building 24 storm shelters, we built 6. We bought all the salt for all the towns. Instead of paying $72 a ton, we paid $58 a ton. Right. It's common sense. There's so much money to be saved. We could improve services throughout the state and reduce taxes.
Before I let you out here, a couple minutes left. You love this job?
Yeah, I'm having fun with it.
Biggest frustration?
When there's things that need to get done, like shared services, then you can't get them done. Because someone's either, for whatever reason, whether they're afraid to deal with the labor community or if they're afraid to deal with local mayors that don't want anything to change. Realize, a lot of these local communities like to appoint the police chief and this and that. My thing is, I want to be part of changing what New Jersey looks like, to reduce the burden, but to increase the services, just like Princeton just did. If you were there,
that's
Steve,
encouraging.
Steve, if you saw the people in Princeton, I was just with them yesterday, bragging, and as they rightfully should.
They're the only ones.
improving police presence, cleaner streets, and lowered the tax rate. Wow.
Again, before I let you out of here, with all the other activities going on, you are confident the business of state government will continue on behalf of the people of the state?
It has to, Steve. That's why when you're hearing everybody run around and call this and call that, we have to focus, so we still have to run government. The investigations will take us wherever they're going to take us, but we have a lot of work to do for the people of the state of New Jersey.
I appreciate, we on behalf of everyone on public television, appreciate you allowing us in the Senate chamber. It's a nice place to work and doing the people's business. And,
Steve, I never would have dreamed in my life of being in here as a young iron worker, let alone being up there as the Senate President.
well, we wish you nothing but the best, you and your colleagues doing the work on behalf of the people of the state. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Val. Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is Steve Adubato from the State House, from the Senate chamber. We appreciate you watching. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of One-on-One has been provided by Barnabas Health, NJM, Health Republic Insurance of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, the law firm of Gibbons PC, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, New Jersey's Credit Unions, PSE&G, TD Bank, Community Education Centers, the New Jersey Hospital Association, and by these public-spirited organizations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the issues that matter. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger, powering NJ.com, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.